Yeah, no judgment, if it was consensual, I don't know, but that's still a minor, and I don't know, that's a little weird. I think that's still illegal. I used to genuinely rob people when I was in elementary school. Apologies for the title. It should say steal from, not rob. I had the definition wrong. Up until I was about 10 years old, I had a huge issue with stealing. After school, during breaks, I was in daycare. The rooms with cubbies was separate from the room everyone was kept in. I used to sneak into that room, rummage through other kids' bags, and just take whatever I wanted. The worst thing I stole from daycare was a Leap Pad learning tablet, a Nintendo 3DS, and some of the games to go along with the 3DS. If I ever was invited to sleepovers at someone's house, I would wait until they had fallen asleep and then start stealing. It was usually jewelry, but the worst thing I ever stole from a friend's house was an iPad Touch. I fully understand stealing was wrong, but I genuinely did not give a crap back then. I now don't have the guts to do it again, but man, did I have the guts at the ripe age of 5. Someone asked, "Did you ever get caught or have anyone question you?" I feel like those are some bold moves. And he responded, yes, a few times. With the iPad, I was caught. Someone else said, "When I was 4 or 5, I read a book called Burglar Bill and made me want to be a burglar. So I sneaked into my parents' bedroom and stole my mother's jewelry. Of course, I didn't really steal it and soon put it back, but it's not my proudest moment." I accidentally catfished my own brother for 6 months and it kind of fixed his life. A few years ago, my brother went through a pretty rough patch. Breakup, dropped out of college, moved back, the whole cliche. We are not super emotional as a family, so the vibe at home was just him in his room with the door closed and my parents pretending everything was fine. Back then, I was spending way too many nights on this small gaming Discord server. Very low stakes. A few regulars, mostly talking about games, work, life, whatever. People joined and left all the time. One night, this new user joins, calling himself Lost in Mid Game, and starts venting in voice chat. It was oddly specific stuff, talking about his ex. Used to say he had no ambition, how he felt like he ruined his life dropping out, how he did not want to be the disappointment of the family. And it was way too close to home. I typed to one of the regulars, "This sounds exactly like my brother. What the heck?" A few days later, Lost in Mid Game posts a selfie in the pet channel with his dog. I nearly dropped my phone. It was my brother. Same dog, same ugly couch from our living room in the background. He had found this random Discord through some Reddit comment and had no idea I was in there under an old username he did not know. So now I am sitting there listening to my brother trauma dump to complete strangers instead of talking to any of us, and I froze. I did not tell him. I did not tell the server. I just muted my mic and listened. That should have been the end of it. But then he started coming on every night. He would hop in, talk about the job hunting, feeling like a failure, how he missed who he used to be, and the regulars would give advice. Most of them were nice, but not very helpful. Stuff like, "Bro, just grind and we'll work out," which is basically nothing. At some point, one of the regulars joked that the server needed an old wise uncle to give proper life advice. I do not know what possessed me, but I made a second account, brand new email, different voice settings, deeper tone, all that. I joined as Uncle Ray. I pretended to be in my 40s, divorced, working some boring office job. I borrowed stories from coworkers and older cousins, mixed them together, and played this fake older guy who had already made every mistake in the book. And my brother clicked with Uncle Ray immediately. He would join the call and say, "Ray, you want tonight?" And I would change my mic settings and answer in a slightly lower voice. I started giving him the kind of advice I always wanted to give him as myself, but was too awkward to say to his face. Stuff like, "Make a stupid small goal for tomorrow, then do it. Clean one corner of your room. Apply to one job that feels slightly too high for you. You are allowed to be scared and still do it." It felt easier coming from a fake older guy than from his sibling who thought he did not understand him. He started sending me his resume to look over, so now I am literally editing my brother's resume under a fake name. I knew his work history anyway, so it was not hard to give specific suggestions. Then it got personal. He would type me long DMs about how he felt like the background character in his own life, how he thought I was the smart one growing up, how he respected me but felt like he could not talk to me because I seemed busy. Reading that as Uncle Ray while knowing he was talking about me was one of the weirdest experiences of my life. I was sitting there with this knot in my chest, trying not to cry on my own computer while typing back like some budget therapist. The messed up part is that it worked. Within a few months, he got a part-time office job, then a full-time offer. He started going to the gym with a coworker. The way he talked in the server changed. Less self-pity, more, I tried this and it actually helped. One night he said in the voice chat, honestly, if I had not met you guys, especially you, Ray, I think I would still be in bed all day. So, like, thanks, man. I muted my mic and just sat there, staring at the screen. I had no idea how to even process that. But the longer it went on, the worse I felt. Every time he said, love you, old man, or you saved my life, Ray, I felt like I was stealing something, like I had taken this role in his life that should have been real. I tried to slowly distance Uncle Ray. I said I was getting busy at work, logged on less, sent shorter replies, encouraged him to talk to other people, to his actual friends, to his family. Then the guilt finally snapped me in half one afternoon at home. He was in the kitchen making coffee, humming the stupid song he always hums when he's in a good mood. He looked better than he had in years. Clean clothes, decent haircut, actually smiling. He saw me and went, yo, you heard of this Discord I'm in? There's this old guy in there. Legit, the only adult who gets it. You would like him. I almost said it right there. I almost said, that is me, you idiot. Instead, I just said, nice. I'm glad you found cool people. I went back to my room, opened the Discord, and deleted the Uncle Way account on the spot. Did not say goodbye, did not explain anything, just gone. The next night, I watched him check his phone, frown, refresh the app a few times. He looked a little disappointed at dinner and mentioned that Ray had not been online. I felt like a complete fraud. He is still doing fine, by the way. Better than fine. He's working, saving money, talking about maybe going back to school part time. He still logs into the server sometimes and hangs out with the regulars. He seems proud of himself in a way I had not seen before. Hmm. I want to cry. I'm really proud of him too. Someone said, I don't think you should tell him. Good job though. Someone else said, this is beautiful. You did great, gal. Ah. Someone said you shouldn't tell him, but you should invite him to do something fun with you. Someone said, good job, Uncle Ray. And someone else said, you should not feel bad. Think of it as you're a light guiding a drowning person who coincidentally happens to be your brother. You literally saved him during a dark part of his life, albeit in an unconventional way. If you haven't been there, what are the chances that someone else would have stepped up? Almost none, and your brother might still be depressed. I don't know your family dynamics, but if I were your brother and I know about it, I'd be really grateful to you. Sure, maybe there would be a little bit of shock and shame at the start, but you literally supported me as a family pillar during a bad time, and that's what good family does. Someone else said, I would take this to the grave. You helped him in ways no one else could. I've had a naughty relationship with my dad until I was 15, and I enjoyed it. I know throwaways are looked down upon, but I have a good feeling I'd be harassed or get a ton of creepy PMs. I think she meant to say DMs, I'm not sure. If I post this on my main account. My dad was always very open to coitus, and whenever I had questions, he gave me answers. When I was around 8, I asked him what finishing was, and he explained it. Since he was always open about coitus, I thought it would be perfectly normal to ask him if he could finish me. I think I'm actually gonna vomit. He said he would give it some thought. No, no, no. And after a few hours explained to me that if he did this for me, that I couldn't tell anyone else because it was a private matter. I didn't really understand, but I wanted to feel this bliss, so I agreed. Then he performed the deed, and I don't really remember if I finished, but I know it felt amazing. Every day after school, I would ask him for to finish me, and he treated it like playing hide and seek. He never in this entire time put it in me or anything or asked me to perform anything on him. Around 11, I learned about predators and how evil they were and how they just wanted to hurt children. I asked him about this and he said most predators did not want to hurt the kids. The ones who did are just the ones who make the news. He was still casual about it, treating it like nothing. After a while, I stopped asking for him to finish me as much, maybe once a week. When I turned 15, he sat me down and told me that I shouldn't rely on him for finishing and that I should venture out with others that were more my age. After that, we just stopped. I still love my dad and I see him all the time. Everyone always says how close we are. For anyone wondering about my mom, she passed away when I was young. I I don't know what to say. Someone said, "Would you let your husband do that to your daughter?" And they said no. Well, someone else said, "Interesting. I won't judge you or anything. You seem to be an adult, happy by your life." Someone said, "Whoa, that was intense." Well, you don't seem to have been traumatized by this, so that's good. As much as I agree, a predator is not the same thing as someone who like forces themselves on someone. There are just some lines a father shouldn't cross, namely the waistline. Yeah, no judgment, if it was consensual, I don't know, but that's still a minor and I don't know, that's a little weird. I think that's still illegal. I'm just gonna move on from that one. I still think about the first time my boyfriend saw me in lingerie. I've never told anyone this, but it's a memory that randomly comes back to me sometimes and always makes me smile. Aw. When my relationship was new, we hadn't slept together yet. Lots of flirting, lots of tension, but we were both taking things slow. He was very sweet, but also really shy when it comes to compliments. One evening, we were sitting together looking through old photos on my phone. Just normal stuff. At one point, he stopped and said, "Look, you look really good here." I teased him and asked if only that picture looked good. He said no, all of them did. Then went quiet for a bit and softly said, "If I ever saw you in lingerie, I think I'd completely lose control." It surprised me because he almost never talked like that. So I jokingly told him maybe one day, if he earned it. He immediately said yes. So I made up a small challenge just to tease him. No junk food for a week, gym every day, and finish an assignment he'd been avoiding. I honestly didn't think he'd do it, but he did. Every single thing. He kept sending me updates, complaining, begging me to give him the reward orally. Then when he finished, I told him he'd have to wait until Valentine's Day. The waiting drove him crazy. When the day finally came, he came to my room while my roommate was out. He was so nervous. It was actually cute. I made him wait even longer by walking around pretending to look for things. When I finally came out, he didn't say anything. He just stared at me. After a few seconds, he whispered, "I don't think I imagined this properly at all." That look on his face is something probably I'll never forget. It started with one shy comment and ending up being the moment we finally crossed the line we'd both been waiting to cross. Even now, sometimes when I wear something nice under my clothes, I think about that moment. That's so cute. Someone said, "It's so sweet, so awesome." Someone else said, "I was so worried this was gonna have a terrible twist at the end, but this is so wholesome and lovely." Someone else said, "Doll." Someone else said, "Don't make me cry." That was really, really cute. I have a crush on my family member and it sucks. First of all, I'm sorry if you're reading this, but I gotta get off my chest. I am an 18-year-old female and I had a crush on someone I'm related to for a while now. I hate that I'm like this and know that it's weird as F, but I can't help it. I've never acted on it and I never will because it would probably get me excommunicated from my entire family and community. But it hurts to hang out with this person and when I know I can't have them and they don't want me in that way. I want to go to therapy to get it sorted out. But the idea of telling anyone in person makes me sick, so I'm doing it as a confession here, anonymously. I genuinely don't know what to do about this. I've been thinking that I should move away as far as possible so I can get over this person. But they kept saying we should get an apartment together and asking to hang out with them at parties and stuff. And I can't take it because I'm so in love with them. Feel free to bully me in the comments. I feel like I've earned it. Someone said, "It's more common situation than you might think. I'm a male from a family full of women, and as a kid, I can recall having crushes on a few of my family members. You grow out of it. At 18, your hormones are still insanely high." Yeah, a lot of people are saying this is more common than you think. Someone else said, "A crush is a crush. I won't lie. It's a little odd, but just don't act on it, and you'll forget about it eventually." As others are saying, this isn't a completely uncommon occurrence, especially at your age.